Thank you, Representative Helm and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name's Sarah Liljefelt. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Oregon Cattlemen's Association. I am a water rights attorney here in Oregon. And first I'll say that in the interest of brevity, we have submitted written testimony on this bill. So please read our full testimony. And also we recognize that we have been talking about this base bill for a number of years. And so before I get into the issues that we think are still present, the Oregon cattlemen do believe that the proposed amendments are positive in continuing those discussions that have been happening and working towards better consensus on this bill. So we do think that the amendments are positive. The issues that we still see with this bill is that as we've already heard, the Water Resources Department for over 20 years does have the ability to require water reporting from permittees. The Water Resources Department has not used that authority, evidently because this data is unnecessary. If it was necessary, the reporting would be required from those persons over the past 20 years who already could be submitting water use reports. Additionally, there is a statute that already allows the Water Resources Department to require measurement from permittees, and that statute is very seldom used as well. And so while the Water Resources Department does use water reporting data in limited circumstances, such as determining whether a permit holder has proved up in order to be issued a water rights certificate, or maybe some additional limited circumstances, we don't have a situation where the Water Resources Department is revising its stream flow availability analysis based on what folks are actually using. Instead, it's based on the paper water rights. And so we don't have a system right now where the Water Resources Department is able to effectively organize, analyze, and have programs in place to use any additional data. And if the Water Resources Department needed that data, as I said, they would already be requiring it from the persons who in their permits have that condition that allows the department to require it from them. So in our written testimony, I submitted an example permit that has that type of language. The department may require reporting. The department doesn't exercise that. Our members are very concerned about the costs of the proposed bill. They've developed their water infrastructure based on the permit conditions issued to them at the time the Water Resources Department approved their water use. And so obviously infrastructure changes to allow them to put in the type of flow meters that will be necessary is an issue about water measurement, but the additional burden also on themselves or employees to meet whatever unstated reporting requirements will be imposed is another financial burden. Right now, the bill doesn't say how the reporting will be done, the frequency of the reporting, the scope, or how they need to report it electronically, paper, monthly. In some cases, the Water Resources Department requires water measurement data weekly in the case of soil moisture management reporting. So we don't know what form this reporting is going to take, and it could be extremely burdensome on water users. And then the last issue that I wanted to talk about was the possibility of using this information for forfeiture. You've heard that Oregon is not a partial forfeiture state. I would say that's only correct to some degree. In Oregon, you can use less rate to fulfill your water right as long as you're ready, willing, and able to use the full rate. However, in the case of irrigation, you have to irrigate all the acreage. You can lose some acreage based on partial forfeiture. And so in the water use reporting forms we have now, it requires that the landowners also report what acreage they are irrigating with their water use reporting each year. And so it is the circumstance that some folks could be facing contested cases because someone sees that they've only irrigated 60 acres each year for the last 5 years. Well, in fact, those are a different 60 acres each year. So they have irrigated their full acreage every 5 years, but they find themselves having to defend their water rights in an expensive contested case hearing. And the Water Resources Department has already been delaying these contested case hearings for years in some cases. I have some clients who have been waiting 5 or more years for their contested case because the Water Resources Department doesn't have the financial ability or personnel to refer the cases to the Office of Administrative Hearings. And so we're talking about the situation where we may have a lot more litigation that already the Water Resources Department isn't able to handle. So in our written testimony, in addition to the amendments that have already been proposed, we had certain suggestions for continued discussion and consideration, such as defining what the scope of that water use reporting may be. Instead of having consideration factors for the Water Resources Commission in enacting regulations to carry out the statute, making it clear that the Water Resources Department needs to have a need for the data, needs to have a program ready and able to use that data, and the financial ability to move that program forward, because right now, the way it stands, you're going to be shooting a bunch of data at the agency that they're completely unable to utilize in any meaningful way. Funding to assist water users to meet compliance with the new requirements against them, and also consideration of a period to allow folks to come into compliance, not you're ordered, do it now, even if you're not financially able. More gradual implementation. And also, what is the consequence for a failure to meet the requirements? Obviously, this statute would not be a permit condition, so we would expect that we're not talking about certificate cancellation if folks are unable to comply. So right now, we don't know what those consequences might be. So we appreciate your consideration of the amendments and of these additional issues, and we look forward to discussing it further. Thank you.
So, folks, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to let Mary Ann